Hey everybody, and welcome to another Fast Foundation Friday where I always exceed my self-imposed limit of 2 to 3 minutes. In this episode, we're going to be talking about corsets that are good for stealthing and what sort of features to look for if you want to wear your corset under clothing and have it be as inconspicuous as possible. And I've been receiving this question for ages. I'm really surprised that it has taken me so long to address it because I have been getting this question for years. Let's start with the color of the corset. If you're always going to be wearing your corset underneath your clothing, there's a lot of underwear out there that is nude or close to it. You can also go with ivory, loom state, peach, beige, tan. These are neutral, somewhat boring colors. Anything that is close to your skin tone will hide well underneath clothing. My very first corset was bright green. That was my choice. Fortunately, a lot of my clothing was really, really thick, so that brightness didn't come out. But obviously, I couldn't stealth a bright green corset underneath, a thin white cotton shirt or anything like that. And I suppose this is a good time for some shameless self-promotion because the Skin Tone range by Timeless Trends is available in my shop for purchase, and it suits 7 different types of different complexions, 7 different skin tones. And the cool thing about these skin tones is that it's not only from light to dark, but there are various shades that are a little bit more olive and various shades that are a little bit more peachy and pinky undertones. This is the largest selection of skin tone corsets available of any brand that I know of. Because one shade of nude isn't nude for everyone. Now let's discuss the actual fabric, the content and the weave of it. So satin, it tends to be smooth and slippery, and it allows your clothing, like your dress and your shirt, to glide nicely over top of it. It won't, catch the fabric and cause it to ride up in places because it doesn't have a lot of friction to it. But if you do go for satin, be sure that it's fused to a stronger backing or it's roll pinned or something, because satin does have a tendency to wrinkle, and the wrinkling can show up underneath a very thin and tight top, and it can look kind of strange if your skin doesn't tend to wrinkle quite that way. So it can be a little bit noticeable, but for the purpose of training, if you're going to be using this corset every day, I generally recommend that you go for something like a cotton, like a twill or something similar as an outer fabric. Yes, it does catch slightly more than a slippery satin when it comes to wearing it under clothing, but it generally doesn't conduct static. It's more hardy, it's more abrasion resistant. That meaning if you put something sharp against it or like Velcro, it's not going to scar or pull badly if it does catch, but it generally doesn't catch when it's brushed up against something kind of abrasive like that. Cotton is also a more breathable fabric compared to polyester-based satins, so it can be better for the skin as well. But as always, especially if you're going to be only buying 1 or 2 corsets in your entire life, go with the color and the type of fabric that you love best. Boning channels is also a big thing to consider if you are going to be wearing your corset under clothing, because boning channels can be technically 3 different ways. There's external on the outside of the corset, there's sandwiched in between the layers of the corset, and then there's internal that's closest to the body. So I'd recommend either sandwiched or internal. Internal boning channels are kind of like Axford's corsets or Voller's corsets that I reviewed a long time ago. Sandwich boning channels is what you see in the double-boned corsets from, say, Orchard Corset or Timeless Trends. External boning channels, sewn to the outside of the corset, is what you often see in Mystic City or what Katie did, and they are often in contrasting colors, which can be very pretty, and is actually very comfortable as well because the bones are all on the outside of the corset. You don't have any of that bumpiness on the inside, so it makes it very smooth against the body. But for maximum stealthing purposes, external channels are too bumpy on the outside, especially if you're wearing something very form-fitting over top. Internal channels make the outside look the smoothest, but they are the least comfortable because you have that bumpiness against your skin. And sandwich boning channels are a good compromise. They're the middle of the road, and they are often seen in many training corsets. The shape of the top and bottom edges of the corset are important as well. Something that's cut straight across would be the most stealthy under clothing, I believe, but gently rounded on the top and bottom can be pretty good as well. What you probably want to avoid are points at the top and bottom because they can bow, especially if they're not supported by the busk. They can kind of poke out under clothing. They could dig into your sternum or your pubic bone, or, it can get that sort of pelvic protuberance. Some examples of corsets that are cut straight across the top and bottom edges, or nearly so, include the classic Ceinture from Isabella Corsetry, the Gina and May corsets from What Katie Did, the C410 from Axford's Corsets, and you'll also notice that the hourglass corsets from Timeless Trends are more gently rounded, less pointed compared to their gentle silhouette corsets. And this is something that I deliberately really pushed for when I was helping them design these new corsets, because I was getting a lot of requests from people who wanted to stealth their corsets underneath their clothing. Now, if you already own a corset that has points on the top and bottom edges, fear not, because there are a couple of ways that you can help them lay flat. For my bra wearers out there, if you have a corset that has a point at the center front and the top, you can try and put your bra on over top of the corset. That will also help to prevent the double lift and help prevent your bust from looking a little bit unnaturally high and lifted in a corset if you don't like that sort of thing. And also the gore in the center of your bra can help push the point of the corset flat so that it doesn't kind of bow outwards and stick out in the center of your clothing at your sternum. Now at the bottom, you can try to find Spanx or other types of control top shapewear, some sort of shorts that you can pull on over the top of the corset, and that can help the bottom edge of the corset lay smooth against your belly. Now this last feature is very optional because it is difficult to source a very affordable non-custom corset that is very smooth in the center front. So most good training corsets are going to have a busk in the front so that you can quickly and easily get into and out of the corset, and a busk is extremely standard. But a busk does cause a line of bumps down the center front. Some training corsets do come with the option of a closed center front, so it does not have a busk. I'm seeing a lot of people request it from Isabella Corsetry these days, and there's one example of a closed corset from Bishonenrancher, their trainer that I had reviewed a couple of years back. I do recommend that you watch that review and read the comments underneath the video before investing in this particular corset, because people have different experiences as far as customer service and the quality of the corset that they received. I personally had an okay experience, but I can't guarantee that for everybody. One thing that I can definitely say about closed front corsets though is that they are definitely more inconvenient to get into and out of. You have to open the laces in the back by a lot and either slip the corset over your head or step into it and pull it up from your feet. But yeah, it's going to take more time and effort to get into and out of your corset. And if you are somebody who is, say, prone to panic attacks and you need to get out of your corset quickly, then having a closed front corset is probably not practical. Busks are much quicker and easier, but they are more noticeable under clothing. Now, if you're able to afford to go custom, then one exception could be a zipper in the center front, because that is fairly low profile and hides well under clothing. But you do tend to have to go custom for that sort of thing. So these are my tips for finding a corset that stealths well under clothing. I'm going to fill the description box down below with a bunch of corsets that have some or most of the features that I spoke about in this video. Unfortunately, you can't really find an off-the-rack corset that has all of these features. A lot of you will probably have to go custom for that. And as well, I'll link my video on different techniques for hiding your laces under clothing if you want a smooth back as well. If you have your own set of requirements for a stealthing corset, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you have your own tips and tricks on how to get your corset to be more smooth and stealthy under clothing, also leave a comment down below and let us know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week for another video. Bye.